I want to know what the hell is going on.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Perfect. Another successful clap.
Oh my goodness, we're good at getting the clap.
We got the clap down pat.
Wait a minute.
Turns out transmission of the clap is pretty easy when you do it right.
Yeah, you just got to time it.
Yeah. Yeah, so as I was saying, we had a big festival in my city yesterday. And it is wild with like...
It's my city too.
Yes. And with like 50,000 people or more like rushing into like a 1 mile square within a couple, for just one day pretty much. And it's pretty good. I mean, I'm sure not telling you anything, Keith, being around, Mardi Gras.
I walk around the corner and there's a festival.
Yeah. And that's one of the cool things about my town is that there seems like there's a festival like every weekend. Last weekend there was one. This weekend there's one. I think next weekend there's one. So it's cool. Lots of fairs, lots of festivals, stuff like that. The negative side is that I literally live like 3 blocks away from where the festival goes on, and it's awesome. I can step out on my porch and see the fireworks and hear the roar of the crowd and all that stuff. But last night at fucking 2:30 in the morning, I hear screaming. And you can tell when screaming is like serious screaming or if people are joking or having fun.
Mm-hmm.
No, these people were screaming. So I went out and I looked on my back porch, and these people are fucking fist fighting in the parking lot or right next door to my house and like running past my car as they're chasing each other. And I'm just standing out there like watching them. I felt like King of the Hill type thing, like just sitting there with my drink in my hand, watching people run back and forth.
Yeah, live performance.
Yeah, the cops had to get called. It was a good time. I mean, I was playing a video game, and it was like, okay, do I want to watch the drama unfolding on the screen, or do I want to watch the drama unfolding out in the parking lot next door?
Best of both worlds.
What game were you playing?
I'm playing The Sims, but no, I'm playing. I finally beat Mass Effect 2, and I'm on to Mass Effect 3 in Mass Effect Legendary Edition. So
wonderful.
Yeah, it's my first time beating that trilogy since when it first came out. I beat it once when it first came out, and then I haven't touched it since, and I fucking love Mass Effect, so yeah.
Well, as you, the listener, have no doubt gleaned, this is a movie podcast where we talk about movies.
Ostensibly.
Yes. Hi, I'm Keith.
I'm Kelley.
And I'm Jamie.
And we are going back to our roots because it's time to once again talk about superheroes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean this would fit into the superhero genre. I mean, it's not only is it a comic book character, but he's got supernatural powers. He saves the day. He's a part of a team of people that have weird powers. Yeah, I think it counts.
Yeah, you just described like 95% of all superheroes.
Yeah,
aside from Batman.
But we have specifically watched Hellboy, the 2004 Guillermo del Toro feature starring Ron Perlman, who is a national treasure and should be protected and have his life prolonged at all costs.
Yeah, I love how we always do that too, where we kind of like lead up to it. We're hiding the fact of what we're doing. Like what we're doing today is a classic from early 2000s. Blah blah blah. Like the person that clicked on the podcast didn't see the name right in the center at the beginning. So
Sure.
We all do it though, so I get it.
Maybe they're blind. Maybe they don't have the ability to have their computer read off the title of the podcast to them.
Oh, I'm curious about how the audio description.
Maybe there's somebody out there.
Yeah. If somebody's deaf and they're using like text to speech type disability assistance, I wonder how if that affects like reading the name of the podcast, or they just click right through. I wonder if there's anything I can do to make their lives easier. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it much. Maybe that's a sign that I should.
Oh, that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
accessibility for all.
Absolutely. Yeah. And speaking of accessibility, I say that this is a very accessible movie because it's just kind of dumb fun. It suffers from sort of the same stuff that sort of all those early superhero movies do, but it has the same strengths as those early superhero movies like X-Men, Spider-Man, It's all around the same general time, and it's like their first foray into like actually with the technology to make superheroes look like superheroes and bring comic books to the screen. And with that comes all the pros and cons of the time period.
Definitely, not to give away my rating for the end, but although this is an easy movie to watch and it has a lot of really fun and cool effects going on, the good about it is it's got some of the best visual effects for the early 2000s, some of the best CGI of the early 2000s. One of the worst things about it has some of the best visual effects from the early 2000s and some of the best CGI.
Right. There's I don't want to skip ahead too much, but there's one scene where the Samael, the demon, is being reformed. That's just bad CGI. A lot of it looked really good, but there's moments where it's like, oof.
Yeah, it suffered from DC weightlessness at times. And I mean, and I am no CGI expert. I've worked on, as you, Keith, know, we've worked on some 3D software stuff together. So we know how incredibly difficult it is to animate and animate effectively. And these people are geniuses at what they do. So I'm not trying to criticize people that are much more talented than I am at this. But yeah, there is a lack of weight in some of the scenes. And you can definitely tell when you're looking at a physical actor versus a CGI, it's night and day difference. Whereas in, current movies, obviously 20 years later, things are a little bit more seamless. Sometimes you're like, ooh, did they do that with CGI or was that with practical?
So had either of you seen this before?
Oh, yeah.
I had not.
Oh, really?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'm sort of more interested then in what you have to say about it than what I have to say about it.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. You can just go, Kelley.
All right. Well, I'll just drink my coffee and watch another movie, I guess.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's because it's sort of out of time. It's probably different having some slight nostalgia or at least experience with this, to kind of soften the blow of some of the bad CGI and stuff like that, because I've already seen it, so it's not a shock. So
right.
So yeah, what's your overall take?
You don't have to give us your rating yet. We don't want to spoil that, but
right. But it's hard. It's very hard to put yourself in the place that you got to remember that yes, this is from 2004, so the CGI is not going to be what you're used to these days, and not hold that against a movie. But I had some issues with the tone. I felt like it was trying to achieve a specific kind of tone that I wasn't getting. It felt like it was trying to be very serious, but it wasn't serious. I don't know. I struggled with it a little bit. I can't lie. It's
kind of camp, like by nature.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But I don't think it pulls off camp well.
And I gotta say, I think, I don't know if I'm talking about the same thing you are, Jamie, but just to touch on that a bit, I've seen this movie before, so you would think that I would feel very comfortable with this. And I remember the first time I watched it and this time I've watched it, I feel like an outsider looking in. This feels like a movie that is written for fans of Hellboy, with a couple of nods given to people that don't know much about the franchise to catch you up quickly, to get you kind of on board with the fans of Hellboy. Whereas current superhero and those kind of movies, they are written for everybody. Like you get the entire story about what's going on. And I'm not saying you don't get the story of him, but it felt like the tone in a lot of ways, like it was just throwing so much stuff at the screen. It kind of reminded me of Watchmen, the movie, not the TV show, where they're throwing so much at the screen. They're trying to catch me up that by the time I feel like I'm getting caught up, I wasn't lost, but it did feel like this was written not for me. Somebody else got a Nintendo for Christmas and I'm player 2.
Right. Yeah, it's like you're cramming an entire comic book run's worth of lore into a 2-hour movie, and some things just naturally are going to get lost that fans of the franchise are going to, know about, and that
there are times he does stuff where he kind of like nods to the screen almost and chews on his cigar, and you can almost hear the crowd of Hellboy fans in the background going, "Yay!" And I'm sitting there going, "What are we applauding for?" He just said, "Well, that's your tookus, buddy," and I guess that's his key phrase, and I just didn't know that, or
right.
So. Yeah. So the movie starts off in a very sort of Indiana Jones style way, where we have Nazi occultists opening a portal to an alternate hell dimension, I guess.
Yes.
And watching this for the first time, I had a thought that I never had. I just want to know what you think. So the guy, he's basically Anton LaVey, right? The Nazi Satanist. He's got the short cropped hair and the pointy sort of like devil goatee thing kind of going on, and he looks very very, like an opulent occultist guy. But he has this glove that he's using to open the portal that looks a lot like Hellboy's hand, and I don't know, because I'm not overly familiar with the comics, but I wonder if that's supposed to be like designed like that. I don't know, that kind of jumped out at me. It's like a big clunky hand with a big circle around the wrist.
Yeah, yeah, and I've always appreciated that sometimes in movies where they have the hero and the villain have the same kind of weapon.
Right.
It's interesting whenever you have moments where the heroes and the villains, sometimes the creator, the writers, whatever, they, I'm sure on purpose a lot of times, they give them almost the same weapon. Whereas like, so the Green Lantern faces off against the whatever color lantern.
Yeah, the yellow
Superman
lantern,
faces off against that radioactive guy with Superman powers in Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. They just give, it's shorthand. Let's give the villain something that's remarkable that is almost exactly the same as the hero. But I don't think this movie like falls completely into that. It's enough for it to feel like it's a connection, but you know that if Hellboy and whatever, I forget his name, the Romanoff, if they faced off in hand-to-hand combat, the Romanoff has no fucking chance. Hellboy would just squish him with his non-big hands. So
yeah.
Which, by the way, is Ron Perlman wearing a fucking muscle suit, or is he just fucking jacked for this movie?
I don't know. That's actually a good question.
Because he looks like a fucking muscle suit. I'm like, how the hell did Ron Perlman... We would have known if he was built like a fucking professional wrestler, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Because, I mean, his costume is just full, like, chest exposed, muscle daddy happening.
Yeah, with, like, fucking rippling veins on his pectoral muscles and stuff. And I'm like, you realize how much you got to fucking work out to see veins popping out in your chest?
So, yeah, so the Nazis in the, 1944 want to open a portal to hell. And right off the bat, what makes me... appreciate this movie is we get a Wilhelm scream when one of the Nazis gets sucked through the portal. That was one
of my first notes. The first death is a Wilhelm scream. I'm like, you might as well just get it out of the way right now. That's all. Everybody point at the screen and go, they did the thing. They did the thing.
Yep.
I thought it was amazing too. Like I did not know, and maybe this is just, this showcases my ignorance more than how cool things worked out, or not cool, but how interesting things worked out, is that I didn't realize that the Nazis actually did shit like this.
Oh yeah, they had a whole like occult like investigation like arm.
This movie made me look into that because I was like, oh, this is so cool. And so many pieces of media reference the Nazis looking into like satanic rituals and dark magic and shit like that. And I was like, I wonder how much of that is our culture othering Nazis in general, just because that's what cultures do whenever they assert dominance over another culture. They make a mockery of it in small ways, and they turn it into the generic evil. Like if black people were doing some kind of voodoo in New Orleans right after slavery, people would think, that they're worshiping the devil. Where no, I don't think those two things are necessarily connected.
People
that kind of thing.
that.
Yeah, no, it's just that Nazis really are like the perfect evil villains that we have, because hey, they literally, not only were they awful by realism standards, but yes, they were investigating the occult. It's like it writes itself, like if you're pure evil and investigating evil, and I don't know, it's and
they were giving like stims to their frontline members, like methamphetamines. I thought that was just a sci-fi trope. I didn't realize that real fucking governments on the planet Earth were giving methamphetamines to their frontline troops to turn them into like spun soldiers, not super soldiers, spun soldiers.
Yeah, and I've been fascinated with that since Raiders of the Lost Ark, when I saw as a child.
I thought it was all made up my whole life. I thought this Nazi mumbo jumbo was all just made up to make the Nazis look like more of a bad guy. Now I find out, after however many years I've been alive, I'm not saying it on mic, that this is real. I'm like, my worldview is the opposite of shattered. It is like formed into a bigger globe, and I'm like, holy crap! Now I want to study all this shit. Good thing I'm a librarian. I know a place to get some books. Chances are, I say I'll find all these books, but what I'll probably end up doing is just doing a lot of Googling while I'm at the library in my downtime. So it all kind of works out the same.
Stacks of books all surrounding you, and you're on Google.
Yeah, I'm on my phone too. Yeah, just imagine like big screens and everything, and I'm on my tablet or on my phone, like checking Twitter. Yeah. What does Twitter have to say about Nazi occultism?
Let's not even.
Yeah, that is not something you want to search. I can guarantee.
Yeah,
I don't want it in my search history. That's for sure.
What do you mean search? Just open Twitter and you'll get all the Nazi occult history that you want.
Very
You're
true.
searching for Nazi occultism on Twitter? You mean opening the app?
Right. It's just thrust at you.
Yes, but he wants more of the history of it, not the Neo version.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
the present.
yeah.
Not the present. He wants the
So
history.
I need to go back to MySpace and
And read about the Nazis there. Yeah. The Satanist opens the portal, and as happens when portals open, it goes bad, and there's like an American airstrike, I think, while it's going on, and he gets sucked in, but something comes out, and it's a little red boy with a big hand and some horns, and he eats a baby Ruth. He's kind of like E.T. in that respect, right? They ply him with candy.
and an old school candy that really nobody eats much anymore, like fucking Baby Ruth. And like, I don't know, Baby Ruth and Reese's peanut butter, Reese's Pieces are like two of the worst fucking candies in the world.
Payday.
I'm sorry.
Payday is the
No.
worst.
What
Payday.
are you guys?
Yeah.
No.
Payday.
Which one is Payday? I think Payday is bad, yeah.
Yeah.
Payday is amazing.
Which one is Payday? What has it got
especially
in
the
it?
chocolate covered Payday.
Is there? See, that sounds.
They have
like
a
it could be-
non-chocolate version? What the?
Oh yeah, the non-chocolate Payday.
Oh, it's just nuts. It's just nuts and
Nougat.
how do I call this on the podcast? Just sugar water. It's just nuts and sugars.
yeah.
but-
It's
but-
like dry unsalted nuts and untasty.
It was my
nougat.
go-to in the heyday of my illicit substance usage
Well,
because it's
How do
just
they call this
salty and
candy?
sweet.
That's false advertising. That's like trail mix. That's like calling trail mix a birthday cake. That's just unfair. Somebody said, I'm buying you a candy bar and then handed me a bunch of nuts. I'd be like, here's your fucking nuts bag, buddy.
Payday is worse than some granola bars. That's like
No shame though, Jamie. No shame.
Yes,
You enjoy
yes.
your
Like-
paydays.
like what you like,
yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
saying. You
The
guys
shit
are
that I
missing
like, some people think I'm a weirdo.
even if what you like is gross and dry. And
Almond. I think. Can we all agree that almond joy is the absolute worst, though?
it. Yes.
Like,
nope. We're gonna fight now. I like it all
Ugh.
the way.
coconut. Bleh,
Oh,
no,
you
thank
don't
you.
like coconut? Come
No,
on,
like I
man.
love coconut flavor, but that texture, I don't want to eat hair. I'm not a big fan of it.
Or like, to me, the texture of an almond joy, now that you mention it, is kind of like a chocolate shell around a bunch of scabs.
Oh, that's selling it much better. Instead of chocolate hair, we got chocolate covered scabs. Wow, we're doing a great job at candy naming today. Look, no, let's stick with the Reese's peanut butter cups. Let's stick with the Twix bars, 100 grams, Kit Kats.
Milky Way.
That's Milky Way's good. It's not my favorite, but I like nuggets. So I like
We're-
Three Musketeers as well.
We're a candy review podcast now.
Yeah, I don't even know what the fuck. Oh yeah, it was Hellboy eating the guy.
Is
Like,
it little
imagine if
baby
he came
Hellboy?
out of the portal and they gave him a good candy bar. Maybe he'd have chilled out a little bit.
What he wanted was somebody to hug him because he was super cute and he wanted to be cuddled.
He is the forbidden hug buddy. I think that I would agree with you, and everybody around me would be going, "No, don't touch it. No, don't touch it." And they'd be saying this as I'm hugging it. Yeah.
You'd be like, "Aw."
When we were watching it, I was thinking of the white women aren't afraid of anything meme because I was like, I was thinking about cuddle that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd be like, just let me cuddle it.
I could fix him.
I wrote down a line one of the American soldiers said when they see him because he's got the big arm. He says, what is it? He says, "Wow, look at that whammer."
Yeah, look at the size of that whammer. I wrote it down too because it was so like, whoa, what an anachronism. That imagine a human saying that in today's world. Everybody would look at them like, are you okay? Are you having a stroke?
Yeah.
Look at the size of that whammer. And also, that could be, you could find that in a porn video. That's all I'm saying.
Dirty.
Look at the size of that whammer.
Big Whammers, Volume 3.
Again, dirty.
And we're looking at Ron Perlman, baby Ron Perlman,
Yes.
which basically that's what the Hellboy is, right? That's just,
Yes.
it was just a baby.
And what a perfect casting, right? There's a few things that he's been cast in that you're just like, perfect. I'm glad he was here for that. One of them was the early Beauty and the Beast TV show with
Linda Hamilton.
I believe it was Linda Hamilton.
Wasn't
Yeah.
it just Beast?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was Beauty.
Yeah,
and
I'm
the
just
Beast.
making sure I remembered it correctly. That because I'm like, were there more of them? Because my mom was really into the Beast TV show. She thought he was so handsome, that kind of thing. So
Casting directors are like, well, we need someone who looks kind of like a cat, and then Ron Perlman walks by, and they're like, "You're gonna be in pictures, son."
yeah, one of the guys says, "You're going to be in pictures, son," and the next guy goes, "Hold up, let him speak first." Because imagine he comes out with like Michael Tyson voice or something.
Yeah.
I'm ready to be in your
Did you-
movie,
wait,
guys.
Did you say?
No.
Did you say Michael Tyson? I don't think anyone has ever said Michael Tyson.
Did
ever.
I? Imagine he comes out with like Michael Tyson voice or something.
Yeah, he said Michael Tyson.
Michael James Tyson the second. I don't know, whatever. I don't know his name.
Kelly's on a formal name basis with Mike Tyson. He doesn't get to use
Mr.
There's
Michael
beef
Tyson.
there. There's beef there. Mike doesn't let him use
I don't know what you're
Mike.
talking about, Jameson.
Oh.
Hey.
All right, Keith Burt, go right ahead.
Keith Burt. I guess that's
that
the
is
only...
your real name, right?
Yeah, but we don't have to say that.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we can bleep that out. Totally. Kelley will edit this out. No problem. No problem.
You dumb bastard.
The Nazi, not the main villain, but the Darth Vader of the group is a pretty cool character. With the one with the mask and the arm blades, something about that guy I appreciate. Sort of, he feels like a very Del Toro aesthetic type of person.
What is his name? Cronin.
Yeah, Cronin.
Cronin. He was fucking cool. That's one of the things. Like, I will go to bat for this movie because that was a good villain. Like the Romanoff guy, whatever. Like, I know he's the primary villain, but no, he's not. No, he's not. Cronin is the real villain. And like, I don't know if they made him, if they brought him back for Hellboy 2, stuff like that. I would be more apt to watch more of that. I want to see more of that guy. I think he's creepy. I want to see video games with him in it and stuff like that. I don't know, one of the better villains I've seen in a long time. Yeah,
he reminds me of something from like Metal Gear. He sort of seems like Psycho Mantis or something because he's very svelte. And
yes.
Has like
Psycho Mantis with blades and stuff. Yeah. Yep.
And
I thought it was kind of funny that when he does the reveal after we've caught forward to current time, he takes his mask off.
Yes, I wrote it down. He's wearing a mask.
He's wearing a mask on a mask. Yeah,
that's
the hat on a hat joke, mask on a mask joke.
Right, and that speaks to sort of the camp of this movie. But I find that kind of stuff fun. Right, only in a comic book movie about supernatural Nazis are you going to get a guy taking off his mask to reveal his mask.
Well, apparently, supernatural Nazi is not the weird fantastical term that I thought it once was. So
yeah, very true. But also, he has like different masks for like different situations. Yeah,
different occasions. You got different shirts for different occasions. So it only makes
you have to be dressed appropriately.
So,
you cannot fight if you're not dressed appropriately.
Exactly
is it a full wind-up day or is it a 3/4 wind-up day? You know,
and all of the horrible descriptors of the Nazis that are true, you can't say that lack of fashion sense is one of them.
That is true.
No, the Nazis had the marketing down.
Yeah.
The costumes, the PR, everything. To this day, like I hate the fact that like when I make like military characters in game, we were playing Helldivers, and everybody always joked about the fact that here comes Kelley, he's the one that looks like a fucking Nazi. I swear to God, my beliefs have nothing in line with them, but their aesthetic is fucking creepy and cool. Like stormtroopers from Star Wars, they're creepy and cool.
The whole Imperial outfit like style guide in Star Wars is fucking cool. It's that Hugo Boss look,
and you got to say this about the Nazis, they knew who they were. They dressed in black.
Hugo Boss is Hugo Boss.
Yeah, Hugo Boss is the boss.
Yep.
But they knew exactly who they were. They dressed in black, they dressed in leather, they made themselves look menacing because they wanted to fucking menace people. And imagine if the United States military dressed like what the government wanted. Never mind. Let's keep this on the Hellboy. So then we see at some point we see
Hellboy.
We see George Bluth out of nowhere. And I'm like, it's very hard for me to take Jeffrey Tambor in any role almost after watching so much Arrested Development in my life. He is George Bluth to me. Even when he's being serious, I'm just like, no touching. No touching.
I was trying to think that I have the worst fucking blank joke for this movie.
Yeah, just keep it in your back pocket. It'll come out eventually.
So yeah, we're 60 years later now in quote unquote present day of 2005, and we're sort of introduced with a new recruit who's headed to. It's basically like the Men in Black facility, and it's kind of the team that Hellboy is on, that he's revealed to be on as this new recruit, shows up as their new recruit. It's kind of like a mix of X-Files and Ghostbusters and X-Men, it's like a team of people with abilities that are investigating weird occult shit, and that's I'm here for that. That's like that's the kind of shit that I'm into.
This sort of thing is my bag. baby.
weird, vaguely spooky stuff, science-y fiction. Yeah, that's all that stuff is fun. And so we have on the team is Abe Sapien, I believe.
Abraham Sapien, yeah.
Yeah, who is Guillermo's first flirtation with a sexy fuckable fish man.
His first flirtation on film.
On film with a sexy fuckable
Who knows
fish
what
man.
he does when he goes to like trout farms and stuff.
Right. Who's
He's not allowed at SeaWorld as far as I know.
Why do you do this?
the inimitable Doug Jones? Is that his name?
Yes, it's and Abe Sapien is played by two people.
Yes.
He's played by Doug Jones and David Allen, what's his name?
They Hyde Pierce, is that it?
Yeah, it's Niles from Frasier.
Yes, David Hyde Pierce.
David
Yeah.
Hyde Pierce. I knew it was one of those three named guys, those pretentious three named people. Part of me is regretful because I love Doug Jones. Again, bringing Star Trek into it, he is Saru in Star Trek Discovery, and he's fucking wonderful. I think he's one of the best characters throughout that. I haven't seen the whole series yet, but most of everything I've seen, I fucking love Saru. And he's played well by Doug Jones. He's been in a lot of other things that we have watched before. Really enjoy him as a character actor, and I really enjoy him just simply as an actor.
Yeah.
And I feel like he got kind of maybe shortchanged by them bringing in Niles to do the voiceover, the DAR for it. And I was like, why couldn't you we know Doug Jones is an ample actor. He's very good at acting. At least now I know that, but maybe the people in this one. But then when Abe Sapien is talking, he looks cool and his voice is a little bit disconnected from him. And Niles did a fucking wonderful job with it. So I'm like, well, okay. Like if Niles did a shitty job, it'd be very easy for me to pick up my pitchfork and be like, no, you should have had Doug Jones play it because he's very capable of playing a character of this gravitas and this kind of quirky humor. But the way that Niles played it, I was like, okay, all right, bravo, good. I don't agree with the decision, but you did really well. So
Yeah, he fits in with all the head tilts and his intonations and inflection and stuff. He does a good job.
And who knows, maybe Doug Jones and Niles got together really well and they had a lot of chemistry together and they love each other's involvement. Who knows, So it's not for me to say that the voiceover guy shouldn't have been in it. I think he was probably one of the most interesting characters in the movie. He and the Nazi guy. I want to see a movie with the two of them face off.
Here's my question to you guys. So it's stated that demons age differently than humans, and obviously Hellboy doesn't look 60 when we see him 60 years later. How old in demon years are we saying Hellboy is? Because I suspect he might be like a teenager, young adult.
I would say early teenager to late teenager because of the same thing.
Oh, interesting.
He's eating junk food all the time. His room's a mess. He's very sullen. And how do I put this without making all teenagers sound horrible? But just pouty and sullen and not very open to looking at options that other people might present to them.
Angsty.
Yes, angsty. There we go. There's the word I was
feeling
looking
like
for.
you're the only person that's ever felt this emotion before ever, and nobody understands you. When every adult around you is going, yeah, kid, we've all been there.
And you can feel like the sigh and the eye roll after almost everything somebody says to him. Just like the
yeah. Well, and that was part of my problem with it. And I'm right there with you that I think that what we're told with his actions and his behavior is that he is a teenager of some sort, whatever brand teenager you want to put it, but somewhere in the teenage years. And he does not look like a teenager. Ron Perlman is in his early 40s when this movie came out. So what he looks like is an old man with major anger issues that's really immature. That is imagine you met a guy that's in his 40s and he's driving a fucking T-Bird from 1983 and he's listening to fucking Megadeth and he's living in his mom's basement and he's yelling at her all the time because she's asking him to pick up his Mountain Dew cans and he won't do it. This is what the Hellboy looks like to me. So I'm like, I don't know. I get it. He's fun. I'm not trying to pull the character down, but there was that disconnect going on that I was less likely to like
balding.
him. I did not. He didn't. I was glomming on to Abe. I was glomming on to the father figure. I forget his name, and the masked Nazi guy. yeah. But Hellboy himself, there were times where I would roll my eyes at him, and not in a you card. No, it was like. You look like an older guy that never fucking learned his lesson.
Yeah, see, I chose to think of him as like a sort of on the older end of being a teenager, and then it kind of clicks a little for me, you know?
Yeah.
His attitude. Like, he hides his cigar when his quote-unquote dad comes in, you know? I can't let dad see that I'm smoking, that sort of thing. That's teenager behavior.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that that's what the movie wanted us to, and even his name is Hellboy, not Hellman or Hell Rider or something like that. So I get it, but putting Ron Perlman there is probably the only negative to having Ron Perlman in that role is that Ron Perlman was not a teenager when he did this movie, so he looks like a middle-aged guy.
And he doesn't sound like one, and he doesn't.
Yeah, nothing about him in physical or aesthetic appearance really makes you think that. It's just his behavior. And unfortunately, I have known men in their 40s that behaved exactly like that, and I don't exactly consider them heroes.
No, I could absolutely name a few right off the top of my head right now, but I won't.
Yeah, well, that's a different podcast. Maybe we'll table that for next week.
That's premium content. You have to subscribe and
get
that.
Yes, subscribe to our send us some money on Ko-Fi and we'll name the names.
Yeah, for $5 a month we'll do a companion podcast that is just us bitching about our last relationships.
All you need is smiles. Lots and lots of smiley smiles. Your sweet pink mouth goes north, not south, and just smile. All you need is smiles. Hey, smile.
So we go to the museum to investigate some break-ins of people looking for, supernatural artifacts. And that's where we are confronted with the creature, demon named Samael, which Hellboy calls him Sam and Sammy a few times, which is just charming to me.
Yeah.
I'm just referring to him as Sammy. And the thing that sort of sells the whole Hellboy thing for me is when he's talking about, first of all, he's got a kick-ass gun. His gun is unique and cool in the same style as like Deckard's gun from Blade Runner. It's kind of an iconic, unique pistol. But there's this part where he's describing his bullets, and he's like, these bullets got holy water, garlic, cloves, silver shavings, wormwood, the woiks, he says. Which,
yeah.
Like, that's the whole personality to the woiks.
Yeah. The gun coming out was one of those scenes where as soon as they put the gun front and center, I imagine if I was in a theater and I went there with some Hellboy fans, some non-Hellboy fans, at that point, people would have started clapping and cheering, and I would have been looking around the room going, what? It's just a gun. I mean, it's a pretty cool looking gun, but it was one of those moments where it felt like there's this whole lineage of information that leads up to it. And I get that it's really difficult, and I'm not even asking them to like explain every little thing that's on the screen. But it felt like that moment where there are these inside nods that I'm just not the target audience. And in which case also, like, I'm kind of curious who was the target audience for this, because there are moments like that it feels like there are jokes made to teenagers, there are jokes made to adults. There are jokes that teenagers are the expense of the joke, and there are jokes that adults are and I'm like, I don't know. It felt a little disjointed with some of its messaging, but maybe that's just because Ron Perlman is in his 40s acting like a teenager.
Hey man, it's just a cool gun.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
You're overthinking it. It's a cool gun. Takes big bullets. Isn't that cool?
Yeah. That's all we need is just bigger guns and bigger bullets, and just put everything like water and shavings and like. Do you understand how water would disperse? Like that gun would be so not anyway. Yeah.
It's holy water, man. It's supposed to disperse. Come on. Get with it.
I would love to see somebody try to make a bullet with water as the center. Well, maybe that would be like super effective. Maybe that's like illegal in UN charters or something.
It's like banned by the Geneva Conventions.
Yeah, because like when the bullet explodes inside you, like it just becomes like mist, and it kind of like explodes out because of all the force into it. Who knows?
I thought the demon Samael's, his eyes were really creepy and cool. They like kind of wiggle around in the head. It looks almost like it's like the CGI made to look like a prop, like a physical prop.
Yeah.
some of the jiggle to it. So that's like, after this point, we've established the characters. That's fun and cool. But then it kind of gets a little bit into just go here, fight this monster, go here, fight two of the same monster. It kind of suffers from that sort of middle territory.
That's where I get frustrated with this movie, because there are some things that I wouldn't have minded hearing more about, like Hellboy's middle period. I get the time jump, but I would like to have learned more about what happened during that time jump. It didn't feel like it was supposed to be a secret. They just didn't want to tell us.
Yeah.
And like again, that gun, I would have liked to have learned a little bit more about, because it seemed like there's a lot of character behind that gun. Like, that's just not a normal gun. Well, how did you get that? That sounds like a fairly, even if you spend like 2 minutes on it. But instead what we get is this large middle portion where I remember when I watched it the first time, when it first came out, I didn't really get into it that much, or I got really bored during it. And then when I'm watching it this time, I'm like seeing the masked Nazi. I'm seeing Abraham. I'm seeing Ron Perlman chewing on cigars. And I'm like, how the fuck did I get bored during this movie? This movie is fucking kick ass. And then I watched the middle part of this movie and I remembered why I got bored. And it just seems like, God damn, you could have used that time towards things that are a lot more interesting than MacGuffin chasing, which, if you've listened to our Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker, or whatever the fuck it was, MacGuffin chasing, it gets, once you start to see MacGuffin chasing, it's hard to not see it. And it
Also,
shit.
Copy and paste, right? That's the whole plot of the movie,
yeah.
is that you kill this thing and it comes back as two of itself.
Yeah. And for a main bad guy, come on. I mean, it was a lesser version of a Demogorgon from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like the big monster guy at the end or whatever. He kind of had a little bit of cool bad guy
basically
Cthulhu.
Vibes,
right.
Yeah, I love that Lovecraftian touch to it. I love that kind of shit, as much as Lovecraft was kind of a dickhead and racist and shit. But the lore is fucking cool. But the dogs, those should have been, I don't know, the lesser form. Those are the foot soldiers. Where's Shredder? You know, and Shredder ended up being just a frail old man compared to Hellboy. So all you got to do is kill a bunch of foot soldiers. That's what the turtles do in this episode. That's boring.
Yeah. And that's like the whole middle of the movie, unfortunately. But there's a couple of little gems that stick out. There's a part where he's fighting the two in the subway station. Very good line is they're like, you know, trading blows and the phone is ringing and he says, "It's for you," and smashes him in the face.
Yeah.
But then
the Arnold one-liners.
Yeah, but then it does the sin of that's in the same fight, I believe, when he's laying out on like the subway track and sees the train coming, and he has time to look at the screen and say, "Oh no," instead of just moving out of the way.
Yeah. He's super fast, super strong, but he doesn't get the fuck out of the way. That's the difference between intelligence and wisdom, my friends.
It kind of picks up for me again when they're going in the sewers looking for the hive. But then again, it immediately commits the sin of, you got the FBI agents holding the guns, like there's two of them, and the Cronin shows up. And they're like pointing their guns at him saying, "Don't you move, buddy. One more step and I'll get you." And he's just allowed to walk straight up to them and stab them. Yeah. They have fucking guns. And this guy has blades, and they're still, "Whoops, I guess I didn't shoot you in time."
I love that. "One more and I'll get you. I'm going to get you, buddy. You keep this up, you're going to be in big trouble."
Just stop. Just stop.
Yeah, somebody needed a rolled up newspaper to whack him on the nose.
The whole time the guy's like striding across the room while they're, doing this, like clearly not stopping.
But they did that in The Crow too, and we didn't mind too much for that. You move and you're dead.
So we see Cronin's little wind-up dealie, which is just like instantly fascinating. Like, oh, how much of him is actually flesh still, and there's no blood, and just sand comes out. What a cool villain.
Yeah, he's creepy.
Yeah, he was very cool.
I referred to him in my notes as the Snake Eyes Nazi, like Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe.
I can see that.
Yeah, just an evil. I love those villains that are not quite human, that they have ununderstandable motivations and lack of emotions, like the Borg in Star Trek, that kind of stuff, that are really, they look human from far away, but the closer you get, the more off they feel. And like, ironically, Cronin, when he's wearing his mask is when he looks the most human. When he gets everything taken off and you can see the skin underneath. Like, it made me look into the character. Hellboy, I didn't read about the character afterwards. Cronin, I like pulled up the wiki articles and the fan articles and learned more about the character. Like, he cut his own eyelids off so that he could always see, so that he was never like caught unaware from any direction. He cut his own lips off for something. Oh no, that was a lot of it was religious flatulation type thing. Yeah, so
there's that one shot of him, and I think he has like a mask where the eyes are uncovered, and he just looks super fucking freaky with those unlidded eyeballs like darting all around. It's like that's a very Guillermo del Toro sort of aesthetic touch. He does fucked up things with eyes a lot, I've noticed in his movies. Like you got your Pan's Labyrinth and all that.
Absolutely.
Well, and it's creepy. It's creepier because he looks like he's been mutilated by like some kind of doctor or something like that. And then when I read into it later, I'm like, oh, he did this to him fucking self?
Which makes it worse.
Okay, that puts... Yeah, and I'm like, the movie, instead of us chasing fucking eggs in the sewers for a goddamn hour, tell me more about this guy. That's really interesting shit that you skipped over. I would imagine as a fan of the comic book, I would be almost livid because you did these weird nods to things that aren't really important, but you left out these big, huge parts of the plot that would have made these characters so much more... Maybe they were planning on going into more about him in Hellboy 2 if they continued their plan. Who knows? I don't know.
I appreciate a little mystery around our villains. Like in Empire Strikes Back, when you just see the helmet being lowered onto Darth Vader, and he's all fucked up, and you're like, "Ooh, what the hell happened there?" You know.
But we got to find out later is what made that cool. Imagine if the trilogy stopped at Empire Strikes Back, all of us would be going, "What the fuck is up with Darth Vader's head?" And there'd be a bunch of fan fiction about it because nobody would know.
Yeah, exactly. But speaking of Darth Vader, it's very similar, right? You're dark armored on the outside, but you're horribly disfigured underneath it. It's sort of like the whole what you project outside versus what you are internally. Yeah,
and it makes sense. Their aesthetics are completely. It's you got a what are those diagrams where the arrow is going clockwise the entire time? At the top is actual Nazis. On the bottom right is Star Wars version of Nazis. And then on the bottom left is Hellboy's version of, and a lot of media fits into this cycle because they all just, you could say, well, they're imitating Star Wars. Well, Star Wars was imitating Nazis, which this movie is explicitly doing, and it's all a circle. Or a big pool where everybody's peeing in it together. I don't know, whichever analogy works better for you.
No touching! No touching! No touching! No touching!
More to his being acting like a teenager. I did laugh out loud when he's spying on that new recruit who's on a quasi date with the girl that that Hellboy has a crush on, the pyrotechnic girl.
Again, 45-year-old man stalking a 20-something-year-old woman and like throwing shit at the guy that she's on a date with, even though it's somebody he likes. Oh, you need therapy, buddy.
I laughed out loud when he's just like, who threw that? Like he's, just because he's jealous, he's like, that's childish behavior.
Yeah. Who is the hero of this story again? I'm curious. Who are we supposed to be rooting for in this romantic endeavor? Are we supposed to be wanting him to hook up with her? Are we supposed to be like mocking him and going, what an idiot, stop it? Like, because the only thing that goes through my mind is, dude, you need to put on you need to go no contact with her. You need to go into therapy. You need to reach out to your friends, embrace your hobbies. You need something else in your life, buddy.
I just had an epiphany. A remake of this movie where it's not Hellboy, it's just an actual like 45-year-old man would be fucking hilarious if none of his actions are changed. It gets into like Disco Elysium territory of just like some
everybody in the world is just staring at him like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
He's like some old deadbeat guy that's like
Larry David if he didn't have any money and he was really drunk all the time.
Yeah.
You're basically describing like the movie Trainwrecked, only gender swapped.
Well, maybe that's a movie we should watch, and we should imagine it flip-flopped, where imagine Hellboy is doing all the stuff that our main character is doing.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm going to write that script on spec just to see what happens.
Yeah, let me know if you get any funding.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of the vibes and the general ish of the movie. I don't have probably too much more to say. I'll give the floor to you guys if you have any points or notes you wanted to point out.
I loved it that they threw in the little bit of necrophilia there.
Oh, which
what? I don't remember. Maybe that was part where I'm looking away for a moment.
It was necrophilia light, but the one guy dies and the Nazi woman is like making out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's
we will be together in hell or whatever.
Yeah, the Ava Braun character. She's beautiful and brilliant and very capable
and never aged.
Yeah. Oh yeah, never aged. Yeah, but that's just magic. You're a wizard, Harry. It's
apparently
magic.
part of her character as well. It's one of those things that never got explored.
Yeah, I was wondering about her because she's just same, looks exactly the same 60 years later.
That's what was frustrating about this movie for me. Again, not to spoil one way or another. I'm not saying that this ruined the movie for me, but we spent so much time on Hellboy. I get it. It's his movie. I would have liked to see a little bit more about the tertiary characters. When you look back and you think of some of the best Batman movies you've ever seen, I guarantee you for most people on their list in the top 3 is The Dark Knight. Batman isn't on screen much for The Dark Knight. That movie is basically the Joker, the movie, before they did the Joaquin Phoenix one. And that's what makes it compelling is the world around the hero, and you see what the hero is up against and how they have to fight against it and blah, 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 blah. If we don't ever see more depth about the Joker, then The Dark Knight is just nowhere near an interesting movie. And I think that Cronin, maybe this is blasphemy, but Cronin and that whole Nazi thing, that could have been more interesting. They had so much more history to play with than the Joker does. So, I mean, and I'm talking about real world history, not like comic book history. Don't come after me. But yeah, I think they could have done so much more with those characters. And not that I'm saying that female was, oh my God, I wanted to see 20 more minutes dedicated to her, but a little bit more. How did she age? And how did she age but not age? Like what happened to her during that downtime?
Like I guess you assume that it has something to do with their occult studies and whatnot, but nothing is ever explicitly stated to that effect. It would have been nice to just have some kind of, knowledge of what caused that.
If this movie was super concise, I would understand because they did it all for the sake of brevity. If we didn't see a lot about if this movie was a 90-minute movie and they didn't touch on a lot of shit like that, I'd be like, I get it. And the positives I would be saying is the movie flew by and it was super quick and they were really cool with my time. This movie was not. This movie took its time and didn't delve into the areas that I was really hoping they would. Like, again, Cronin, Abraham. Abraham was fucking cool as hell. Yeah. And they even use him as emotional leverage halfway through the movie. Like, oh my God, he might die because he just got injured. And I'm on board with that going, dude, I don't even know who this fucking person is, and I'm so in like, what books have you read? Like, how did you get into this? Like, where did you come from? What are your parents like? Do you have any siblings? Did you ever fall in love? These are the things I would be curious about asking Abraham. Yeah. Maybe also Cronin. Ironically, was Cronin ever in love? Is he capable of love? That kind of stuff. Did she fall in love with somebody during the time that Romanoff was gone? Because it's been fucking 50 years. Did she have a whole relationship in that time? Did she have to kill him off? Did she use her relationship to get more information to really bring back Romanoff? These are all cool stories that they could have told in little tiny vignettes that were 5-10 minutes long or something, but no.
I would actually watch a whole origin story movie on Cronin just to see all that. Like, it couldn't be where he's like the protagonist or whatever, because that's weird. But if he was the main antagonist, but you get a lot of his backstory, my ass would be in the seat for that.
Yeah,
for sure.
There was Hellboy : Cronin. Wait, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Hellboy Cronin. That would be. I would definitely go see that movie in the theaters because even though now I've read up on him, I would love to see some of this play out on screen, or I'd like to see a different interpretation. Comic book fans, make note. It's okay to see a different interpretation on screen.
I also like that they summon Cthulhu at the end, and they kill him by just grenades.
Just basic.
The elder god has been summoned to your plane of existence and is about to end all life.
My only weakness.
Yeah, but I do appreciate that he saw his opportunity. Hellboy has the grenade belt or whatever, and he's like, well, I'm gonna let this thing eat me and blow it up from the inside. That's fun. I mean, I blew up Cthulhu after he ate me. Yeah.
It seemed like it was implied that Hellboy is invulnerable, but we never really talked about it too much. Yeah, like anybody that's seen what's the Cage Marvel, what's his name? Luke Cage.
Luke Cage, yeah.
Yeah. That whole series, like part of what makes it really interesting is that we know that his skin is supposedly, quote unquote, unbreakable. And it's always a question of how far does that go? Can you blow them up from the inside? Even in The Boys, they touch on that with some of the characters and stuff. And I think that's really interesting to play with where that dynamic, because how would the person know? Because chances are, if you test it and it fails, you're probably dead. So they only know how far they've tried it up until. And that's a really cool dynamic because you never know where that ends. And then by the end of the movie, when he jumps into the belly of the beast and blows himself up, as the audience, we're going, is this beyond his capabilities? But we didn't know that was a capability to begin with. Right. So when he jumps into the mouth of the beast, part of me is going, well, you're
bye.
Yeah. Like, I mean, but then again, he's getting hit by fucking subways in the head. So I don't know I don't know. I guess he's indestructible. So then if he's indestructible, then I guess I shouldn't worry about him. I should have been just like headbanging with the devil horns in the air when he jumps into the demon's mouth. Cause that's what, bro. Hell yeah, brother. Kill him from the inside. Make it emo.
But also the same grenades that kill the elder god Cthulhu don't scratch him. You know, it's one of those things.
Whatever logic you're using as to why it would kill the elder god, why does that not also apply to Hellboy? Because they're both from hell, right? They're both denizens of hell. So we could assume that whatever's protecting him in this realm is protecting that demon too, right?
Yeah, but Hellboy's the good guy, you idiot.
Yeah,
you
right. The plot armor, my bad.
The grenade wasn't inside Hellboy.
Well, there it is. It's on the inside. If you can get the bullets on the inside. So if you get him to, so he could eat his own bullet. Okay, we're not going there. I didn't mean to make this that kind of darkness.
Eat a bullet. Hellboy.
Yeah, we just veered right off.
Oh, at one point, who is it that the father, I wrote down a line here and I forget who said it, it was Hellboy. He said, "You killed my father. Your ass is mine."
That certainly calls for a dirty.
And now that I'm saying it, I realize it has an X-rated connotation, but at the time I heard it, I was like, was he trying to mimic Inigo Montoya?
That's what it sounds like to me.
You killed my father, your ass is mine. You could say them both at the same cadence and tempo. You know, you could have them say it back to back and So, but there's also the thing of you killed my father, bend over.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever.
Promises.
Daddy, chill.
And I have lipstick before the sacrifice. I don't know what that's about. Oh, right, because they're getting her ready for this. So they're getting the woman ready for the sacrifice, where they're going to sacrifice her to bring over the open the realm or whatever. And I noticed that they have freshly applied lipstick, and her lipstick is really well done. And it made me think that they had to take a moment before the sacrifice. They're like, one person's job, your job is to light the brazier of Inochili and light it at the third toll of the bell. What's my job? To put on the lipstick.
Yeah, and make sure it's very proper and trim and nice. Well, you want to look good for the summoning.
We want dark colors because we're evil.
It ups your sacrificial value.
Yeah, right.
yeah. If the person looks good, you know, if their score on a 1 to 10 scale and attractiveness is a 9.1,
you don't want to sacrifice some frumpy motherfucker.
Right.
Oh, last thing is something that we can all hopefully relate to and love is Hellboy loves kittens.
Yeah, that's a nice humanizing thing for him.
He like basically imperils the fate of the world by stopping fighting monsters to save a box of kittens at some point, and we can all get behind that, I think.
Hell yeah, absolutely. I think the entire internet can get behind that. This movie, and this is not this movie's fault, it just made me like rethink a lot of villainous bad guys that are like over the top. So we see the future that Romanoff wants. Like we see that alternate reality or that dream reality or whatever, where we see this apocalyptic future and like everything is destroyed. All the cities are dust. Everything looks like a war zone that's been shelled for months and months and months. And everything is just gone. All life is gone. No trees, no plants, no nothing. And everything's gone. And I'm like, who wants this? Who just like, imagine you're the human and you're like, they're all gone. It's just me left. It's like, congratulations. You played yourself. Like, what are you going to do now? Like you can't go golfing. You can't go play video games.
You can't probably breathe the air, you know?
Yeah. Like who did you do this for? It's for my master. And what is your master going to do? He'll let me go to hell with him. And what is hell like? It sucks. Okay. Well, what are you doing this for, buddy? Like maybe you should rethink your many life year plan. Like, you've been doing this for hundreds of years, and you didn't think that maybe the apocalypse was bad for you too?
Yeah, hey, wait a minute, this sucks. Like, after they achieve
And do you
their
think
goal.
that you're not going to hell? Do you think that should you not complete the apocalypse, but you're still this atrocious person, that you're not going to go to hell?
Yeah, again, therapy, buddy. Just go to therapy.
Hey, you know what they say? It's better to rule in hell than serve in heaven.
Apparently. So before we get to the rating, Jamie, do you have any other thoughts that we might have bulldozed over?
No, we covered all of mine as well. Like I said, my last note was spicy necrophilia, so.
Spicy necrophilia. I'm going to write that down. That might be the episode name.
Sounds like a title to me.
Sometimes I'm worried about putting certain words in the title because I don't want to be put on any waiting lists.
You mean any more waiting lists?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of implied for anybody that's gotten this far into the show, right? You know. So without any other further ado, let's get to the rating portion. Let's switch it around and let's go to Jamie first. Jamie, what did you think of Hellboy? Would you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
You really want to do this? Here. Now? Yes. Okay. Okay. Let's do it!
I give it a thumbs down, but just barely. Like, it was entertaining, it had its moments, but it's not a movie that I would watch again willingly.
Okay.
Fair.
All right, Keith, what about you? Did you like the movie? What are your thoughts? And would you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I give it a thumbs up, but it's not like it's God's perfect movie or anything. I'm entertained by 1, comic book stuff, 2, Ron Perlman, 3, occult shit and vaguely connected to like horror monster stuff. So even if it was a worse movie than it actually was, I would probably still give it a thumbs up just because I like the aspects of it. But you know, it's all going to depend on your taste. But yeah, I'd say it's a fun movie. If you haven't seen it, you should probably watch it if you like Ron Perlman and superheroes. What about you, Kelley? What did you think of Hellboy?
Yeah, I would give it a soft thumbs up, but I would give it a thumbs up. I'm not trying to equivocate. The 2 phrases that come to mind for this are, it's like a really good Taylor Swift album. Like, I can tell that it's well made. I can tell the people behind it had a lot of passion. I can tell that there are a lot of, and even as somebody that's not a Taylor Swift fan, I can hear a few songs off this album and be like, wow, that's a really cool fucking song. Good for her. That is really well made. It's got a really cool hook to it. I'm even finding myself bobbing my head to it. Well done. But the album isn't made for me, is what it felt like.
Right.
This movie is made for a Hellboy fan. So like, but I still enjoyed it. So I can still recognize well-made stuff. It's still, there's no like glaring loopholes where I'm like, oh my God, you fucked up here, like with Star Wars 9.
You aren't offended by it.
Or Lady Hawk.
Yeah, well, hey, that's another conversation for another time. But the other phrase that came to mind was, this is like going out to dinner with a friend at a really good restaurant and them ordering something that you found out you didn't like. You know, you go to this fancy French restaurant and they're like, you got to try the blah, 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 blah. And you're like, sure, whatever. And you find the mashed potatoes that came with it, the salad before, whatever fucking fancy people eat. All the other stuff was great, but the actual meal itself, you were like, meh. And that's what this movie was to me. Did I still have a good time at dinner? Fuck yeah. It was a good time. Would I watch it again? Maybe. I don't know. If that was the criteria, this might have pushed into a thumbs down. If that would be our criteria, is would you watch it again? It would probably end up being a thumbs down, because I don't know if I'd watch it again. But I would watch the fuck out of a Cronin movie and a Abe movie. I think those were awesome characters.
So if this was released today, what's the popcorn bucket for this movie?
His fist.
I was
down.
gonna say that too, and then you could wear it afterwards, like after you.
Yeah, have a little handle in there, and that would be really easy because you just have to do like a simple like grip handle in it, and then for all the little kids going, and you have a small and a large, and all the differences is kid versus adult, and even the kid one, it could be decently sized because even a little tiny kid with a big huge Hellboy fist, they'll feel cool. I mean, I would probably do it too, and I'm definitely not a kid.
I have a slightly different take on that.
All right, let's hear it. Make
the fist the cup holder. And it's holding a box of kittens, and the popcorn goes in the box of kittens.
Did it real kittens? Do you get kittens with your popcorn?
Well, no. Like, like little cartoony kittens that kind of stick up off the side. You have your popcorn, you have your cup holder, Because, like, you know that hand wants to hold a cup anyways.
Yeah, that's very true.
And then you can still use it. You can still put your hand in it.
Yeah, so it just looks like you're Hellboy holding a cup.
Yeah, like you slip your hand in it, and you can. That's how you carry the box to your seat.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I think,
and you're holding the cup and a box of kittens.
I think you're both playing variations on the same theme. So yeah, I think that sounds like that would be the official cup. Would be some variation on those ideas. So yeah, that was it was a lot of fun. I really did enjoy Hellboy, and I of course enjoy talking about it with y'all, because where else would I be hearing phrases like spicy necrophilia and Michael J. Tyson II? I don't
know anything about that. I don't know nothing about numbers. I just know what I can do. How about kill this mother?
Okay.
Michael T.
T. Tyson. Senior Esquire.
And the thing is, I grew up on like Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I don't think I've ever called him Michael Tyson in my life. Why would that come out?
This is what happens when you're up till 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you get those the white trash Olympics happening outside my doors.
If only
one of the fireworks here, though.
If only Michael Tyson were here, you said to yourself.
Yeah, you know, if Michael Tyson would hear, they all would have went home. They would have been a lot more respectful. Sure. And Cameron wouldn't cared about his girlfriend's phone right then. Anyways, so yeah, I had a great time. If you're listening to this and you had a good time, support us on ko-fi.com/screenshare. You can email us at ssandchill, spelled out. It's not the symbol, it's ssandchill @gmail.com. We also have a Patreon, but I don't think we have a whole lot going there. So if you really want to, then go ahead and send us some money there. But if not, Ko-Fi works pretty well for us.
I have Discord.
You have a Discord. We don't have many people on it yet, but you know, that's fine. We still put up episode reviews, and if you want to chat with us about the episodes, that's the place to do it. We respond to that more than we respond anywhere, because we're all big time gamer nerds that use Discord a lot more than I use any other social media or messaging service. So.
Come say hi.
Yeah, come say hi. And if you're looking for the link, we have it on Facebook. Also, you can just I do a search for Screen Share and Chill, and it is with the symbol there. So maybe that's my fault, but yeah, throw us a review on iTunes or iPodcast or whatever fucking Apple people call it, because I submit the RSS, but I don't fucking remember the name of the service. But yeah, and Spotify, all that shit. If you want to vote in the Rise of the Skywalker poll, it's still up, I think, for a few more days.
And guess what? The rational minds have come through, and the Rise of Skywalker won the poll of being a good movie, with my singular vote putting it over the edge.
It was 1-0.
Yeah, it was me.
Oh my god! I don't think that counts. We're gonna have to appeal that decision. We'll figure it out.
See that? They're trying to rig the election. You heard
Double Jeopardy doesn't count when you're that fucking evil as Rise of Skywalker was. All right. Well, either way, I had a really good time with you all. Thank you everybody for listening. Engage with us elsewhere. But for now, this has been Screen Share and Chill, and I have been Kelley.
I've been Keith.
And I've been Jamie.
Bye.
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 See ya. Smoke your cigars in front of your parents. Don't worry about it.
Don't let them see.
Don't engage in spicy necrophilia. Don't know spicy necrophilia.
That's good. Don't let your parents see your necrophilia.
Wait, that's not what I said.
I'm going to call the police. You go ahead!